Recorded Books presents an unabridged recording of Night Soldiers by Alan Furst, narrated by George Guedel and directed by Lynn Flanagan. This book is copyrighted 1988 by Alan Furst. This recording is copyrighted 2004 by Recorded Books. The author opens with the following two quotes. The first is by Vladimir Ilyich Lenin in May of 1922. Push out a bayonet. If it strikes fat, push deeper. If it strikes iron, pull back for another day. The second quote is of Executive Order Number 9621, issued by President Harry S. Truman, for the termination of the Office of Strategic Services, the OSS, on September 20th, 1945. The Secretary of War shall, whenever he deems it compatible with the national interest, discontinue any activity transferred by this paragraph and wind up all affairs relating thereto. And now, Night Soldiers.
Levitsky's Geese. In Bulgaria, in 1934, on a muddy street in the river town of Vidin, Christo Stoyanov saw his brother kicked to death by fascist militia. His brother was 15, no more than a blameless fool with a big mouth, and in calmer days his foolishness would have been accommodated in the usual ways. A slap in the face for humiliation, a few cold words to chill the blood, and a kick in the backside to send him on his way. That much was tradition. But these were political times, and it was very important to think before you spoke. Nico Stoyanov spoke without thinking, and so he died. On both sides of the river, Romania to the north and Bulgaria to the south, the political passion ran white-hot. People talked of little else, in the marketplace, in the church, even, a mark of just how far matters had progressed, in the kitchen. Something has happened in Bucharest. Something has happened in Sofia. Soon, something will happen here. And, lately, they marched. Torchlight parades with singing and stiff-armed salutes, and the most splendid uniforms. The Romanians, who considered themselves much the more stylish and urbane, wore green shirts and red armbands with blue swastikas on a yellow field. They thrust their banners into the air in time with the drum. We are the guard of Archangel Michael. See our insignia, the blazing crucifix and pistol. They were pious on behalf of both symbols. In 1933, one of their number had murdered Ion Duca, the prime minister, as he waited for a train at Sinaia railway station. A splinter group, led by a Romanian of Polish descent named Cornelius Codreanu, called itself the Iron Guard. Not to be outdone by his rivals, Codreanu had recently assassinated the prefect of Iași, because he favored the Jews. Political times, it seemed, brought the keenest sort of competitive instincts into play, and the passionate reached deep within themselves for acts of great magnitude. The men of Vidin were not quite so fashionable, but that was to be expected. They were, after all, Slavs, who prided themselves on simplicity and honesty, while their brethren across the river were of Latin descent, the inheritors of a corner of the Roman Empire, fancified, indolent fellows who worshipped everything French and indulged themselves in a passion for the barber, the tailor, and the gossip of the cafes. Thus the Bulgarian marchers had selected for themselves a black and olive-green uniform which was, compared with Romanian finery, simple and severe. Still, though simple and severe, they were uniforms, and the men of Vidin were yet at some pains in 1934 to explain to the local population how greatly that altered matters. It was a soft autumn evening just after dusk when Nico Stoyanov called Omar Veko a dog prick. A white mist hung in the tops of the willows and poplars that lined the bank of the river. Clouds of swallows veered back and forth above the town square, the beating of their wings audible to those below. The Stoyanov brothers were on their way home from the baker's house. Nico, being the younger, had to carry the bread. They were lucky to have it. The European continent lay in the ashes of economic ruin. The printing presses of the state treasuries cranked out reams of paper currency showing wise kings and blissful martyrs, while bankers wept and peasants starved.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.